Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Split Screen Media. This is episode 35. With me again as co host is Mr. Joey Baden.
Hey, hey, gang, gang.
Gang, gang. And with us again, actually, I think this is our first time doing a returning guest just the week after, but we're always glad to have you. Seabass, thanks for being on the show.
Technically it's 2 weeks after, but yeah.
Yeah, within the next episode. Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot to talk about last week.
Yeah, there wasn't enough content, so that's why we just didn't feel like it. So fuck it, whatever. But we're back this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a couple of things to talk about today. We're gonna get into some video game reviews and talking about some Warner Brothers DC news. But first of all, I want to talk about a little game that came out from Ubisoft last week called Far Cry 6, which has sold extremely
little game.
well.
It's a AAA title.
Yeah, I talk about Ubisoft like there's some kind of indie developer. This little tiny game from an unknown studio. But yeah, it did super well, not only here, but overseas, which apparently was kind of unexpected. I haven't played it, but Joey and Seabass have, and they're going to give you guys kind of a little review on it. So Joey, Seabass, what do you guys think of it?
I'll let Seabass go first since he's probably played a little bit less of it, and so he can give his overview before I give mine after playing all of it. I think would probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. Have you played Far Cry 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Think that, but more Latinas or Latinx, whatever the term is. But it's also they really embrace, I feel like the I don't know. I feel like this one embraces the spirit of 3 a lot more than like 4 or 5 did. And like the sense of like, I don't know, it just feels I personally don't care about the story. I mean, most people don't play Far Cry for the story. You're not engrossed into the story. It's more like you're engrossed into the characters. And I think this one definitely captured like that spirit. Every character I've ran across I care about, or they're at least interesting to talk to or find out like little tidbits about them. So I think they handled that really well. Voice acting, phenomenal. And they really upped the gameplay elements on this one with like just the fun factor. They just added like all these like wacky things that are I find enjoyable. Like, and you can play any way you want this time, like literally any way you want. Because other Far Cry games, like my gripe with them was like, oh, you can either run and gun or you can play stealthy. But when you run and gun, you're getting fucked up every second you get. But this one really balances it out where it's like you can like do it stealthy, but if you're the type that just runs in there and wants to fucking blow shit up, like we have tools for that. Like we have like my favorite element is like them adding the backpack, the Supremo. That shit is so tight. And then they also add companions, which help out your aggressive playstyle too. I haven't gotten that far yet though, so I mean, there's probably a lot more that I haven't discovered.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and to add on to that, I agree with a lot of your points. Even to the like, you're definitely right that it kind of brings back to Far Cry 3, which is one of my favorite games when it came out. Even to the point where when you get like shot up and you go to heal, they kind of took away from the wrapping yourself in bandages, and they actually took it back to like breaking your thumb back into place after being shot or stuff like that. And I know it's not goofy or it's not realistic, it's a lot more goofy, but I felt it felt more like a Far Cry game to me, so I definitely agreed there. Super agree on the characters as well. All of them are really memorable and you really get engrossed in them. And so like when you're doing a mission and like, oh, this person's been captured, you're like, I gotta go save that person right now. And it feels you're right that like the overarching story is kind of whatever. It's the same as every other one. There's a big bad, they take over the island, you slowly take the island back, you kill the big bad. That's every Far Cry game. But you're right with that. And another tidbit I'll add is some of the mini games in there, or like like the little mini missions they have, the racing kind of stuff like that. Those have been pretty fun from the ones I've done so far. I particularly enjoy the treasure hunts. So every time you see a little diamond logo on the map, you go into this area that has a self-contained either puzzle or like you have to parkour to get to places. You have to do certain stuff to unlock what's within, and they've got little notes within that tell a self-contained story in each one. Um, and by the end of it, your reward for finishing it is usually some sort of money, as well as you get a unique weapon almost every time you complete one. One in particular that stuck out to me was there was this story about two star-crossed lover pirates. You going into like a skull cave. It's a face of a skull. You go into the mouth and you come out through the eyes. You're going through this, and as you're going through, you're reading about these two pirates that fell in love, cause all this chaos, Bonnie and Clyde style, and then they start to turn on each other slowly. And then by the end of it, you find out that the gun is cursed. So like as soon as you pick up the gun, like a grenade explodes out of nowhere. There wasn't a grenade there before, and it's kind of cool, and it had a like mystical sense to it. And overall, most of them are like that. Another one is you go into a warehouse and there's a quesadilla was going on in there. Someone was trying to throw a quesadilla before it got attacked by the bad guys and the solderos. And so it's fun trying to like you have to turn on all the stuff, so you're making this you're basically doing the surprise that the girl never got to see for yourself, and by the end of it you get a unicorn as a you can now use that as a horse mode of travel, which just like has a cardboard cutout of a horn attached to its head. It's hilarious and it's goofy and fun, and in that aspect I've really enjoyed it.
So it seems like it kind of ups the goofiness a little bit, because I was watching Zanny play it on his, he just put out a video today actually, and he was playing it and Critical was also playing it, and it seems like they've sort of upped the goofiness factor, and they did like a Suicide Squad thing where they introduced the characters and there's like an alligator and then it zooms in on the alligator and has a title card for him.
Yeah.
And like you have like a rocket pack, and I'm like, okay, so this is just like Far Cry 3, as whatever ridiculous as you could say, took itself very, very seriously. For the most part, like not in the sense of maybe some of the gameplay mechanics like burning down a weed field or whatever, but the story itself was
Brought
pretty
that back.
serious.
Yeah, so they bring that back too, which is a really fun mission.
Do they bring that back because they are running out of ideas, or that's my other thing. How samey does this feel to the, like, does it feel like it's getting stale at this point with, I mean, you've played all of them at this point, right?
I didn't play 1 and 2, but I did play 3 through 6, and I mean they're all the same basic style. It's the I don't know how else to describe the games, but the one-man army style of games where you're the only one that can do this task, and there's a bajillion of them. And sometimes it can get a little repetitive, but this game does a lot of stuff within the main story to make for some really interesting new style of missions. This one goes really far into the guerrilla aspect. Not the like the ape, but Viet Cong style, and
the guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed, like, at one point you're like breaking into the Capitol and you're trying to like plant bombs and stuff like that because you're trying to capture the leader or something like that, and like you're actually like almost forced to sneak because if you get caught, you're gonna get murdered by all these solderos and stuff like that. So it was really fun kind of going and doing that, and it really felt like guerrilla warfare. Same thing with, they have like you have to plan an ambush at one point, so you're waiting for a tank to pass so you can drop some rocks and block the tank off so you can capture the convoy and stuff like that not a lot of other ones have done those style of missions, so that was a nice refreshing take. But yeah, there's still your go here, kill that, go here, grab this car, come back style of missions, but
yeah, it's still open world shooty looty action adventure stealth segment with towers that you have to complete to do the map. Like it's still the same kind of
They actually don't have the towers in this one. They took away the whole like seeing the map that way. It's just walking around the area unlocks the map.
Wow, what a concept. Oh man.
And you can even get as you're walking around, you'll be able to you'll see little exclamation points on the map, and it'll be like a pamphlet that says, "Oh, you can go here to hunt for this animal," and it'll pop up on the map of where the hunting spot is or where that Grand Prix is. If you see a poster for the Grand Prix, or you read a note that says, "We're planning to ambush some soldados here," then you know where an ambush location is, stuff like that.
Do you think we bullied them? We meaning the collective internet bullied them into taking away towers?
I have no idea, but that'd be really funny if
It's,
so.
that's become like such a, like a whatever you want to say, like a meme or whatever online, or just people like discussing the game, making fun of it. And it's not just Far Cry, it's like a tons of AAA games sort of follow that model.
Mm.
And you and I, Joey, were actually talking about it, but when I was replaying Spider-Man PS4, it had been a really long time, and I forgot that that game had towers. And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, I was like, "Can we stop doing this?" Like, I'm so sick of climbing towers. Even
I
like,
used to enjoy like when they first came out, they were fun little puzzles, like the parkour puzzles, which can be fun sometimes, but it depends how big the map is. You're like, because at a certain point, you're like, all right, can I just play the game now? I want to kill some stuff.
yeah, no, that was the problem. Is that when Far Cry 3 came out, it was a brand new idea. It was like, oh, this is cool. Like, you have to discover the map. Like you said, it's usually some kind of puzzle to get to the top, and then you can discover part of the map and all the shit that's around it. And it was like, oh, that's cool. The problem is that not only did Ubisoft do that for every single game, but every other company then did that for all of their games
Mm.
too. Um, Even like I'm pretty sure Arkham Knight had something like that. Games where like Rocksteady reinvented the fighting genre, and now they're copying Ubisoft. It was just one of those things that took off everywhere. But yeah. So overall, you have enjoyed your time with this game.
I have, yeah. There's been a lot of really good gameplay within it. The setting is really cool. Different parts of the map feel different too. If you're going through a swamp area, there's a good chance if you're trying to sneak that a alligator might sneak up on you. Or they also have like tropical beaches on one side, and um, it's fun being able to, you can actually like feed pelicans or something like that, or you can try and fish. You can try and dive to try and get something, but not get attacked by a shark. It's things like that. Up in the mountains, if you're depending how high up you are, you might get attacked by like eagles or something like that. So they do a really good job of making each setting feel different, and I think it's the first Far Cry, at least first Far Cry I can think of that had a big city like this one does. That's where the main villain's like place is, and that is pretty cool to see, to be able to play that game in that setting. It was really cool.
That's good. Seabass, do you have similar thoughts? I know you said you hadn't played as much of it, right?
No, but so far I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
That's pretty
I
good.
think that's pretty fair, a pretty fair thing, and I'm excited for two. They also back in whichever E3 it was that they announced, where you get to play as the villains. They already have those set up, which is kind of cool. So at some of the checkpoints or some of the bases, you'll see a little logo of like a little video game controller. And even though the DLC hasn't come out yet, it's still being created. You can see like a little like plug in the controllers and play that has a picture of Voss, has a picture of Pagan Men, has a picture of Joseph Seed, to be able to play as them, which I'm looking forward to.
That does seem a little shitty that it's kind of like the Mortal Kombat thing where like Goro was on the unlock screen, but if you didn't pre-order it, you didn't get it. Like, clearly this is already in the game, but you have to pay for it like that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's just games today. I agree, it's terrible. Yeah, it sucks that it's in the main game, but you just have to pay $20 or $40 for the season pass to get it. But
Yeah.
um,
That's not
that's
just a
something that'd
Far
be
Cry
awesome.
thing. It's just the state of gaming. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Except for the game behind you, when games didn't have DLC.
Yeah, when game oh, very much so. But yeah, I guess before we jump into that, I just so you that was your 8 out of 10 is what you give it.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I really enjoyed playing it. I would love coming home from work and be able to play that. I agree, Seabass, as well, that um, the Supremos are really cool. The giant backpacks that can, or each one of them do something drastically different from the other, so it can really alter your gameplay. And they also have these weapons called resolver weapons, which are some sort of pretty fun different weapons. So you've got your normal, your AK, your pistol, your shotgun, stuff like that. But these are the more silly ones. My one of my particular favorites is the CD launcher that plays the Macarena. Stuff like that, which are pretty fun to use too.
Well, there you go. I'm glad. Yeah, it's. I mean, it was one of those things. I was watching them play it, and then hearing you talk about it now. It's like, I might run through it when it's on sale. I know, the Steam sale. Those games usually drop pretty quick, so maybe I'll pick it up when it's like $10 or $15. Because I don't care about Far Cry story at all.
Right.
But watching the gameplay, I was like, oh, this looks like a good time. I could throw it on. So you've convinced me. I will purchase this eventually.
There you go, sweet. And then the villain is really cool too. Obviously the actor that plays him is amazing in almost everything that he's in. But he adds a nice, Voss is kind of crazy. Honestly, a lot of them are pretty crazy to be honest, but this one seems to be less crazy and more like he's kind of stoic, which is pretty cool to see. He's got that, that cool like reserved but like pent up. Villain feel.
How much is he in the game?
um Almost every time in the beginning he's in it, and as you go through, kind of take over the different areas and start killing off his lieutenants and things like that, he pops up more and more.
Okay.
So he has some pretty cool cutscenes. I kind of wish he was in it more, but they probably couldn't afford that actor too much more.
Yeah, they were like, we have one day to do motion capture.
Yeah, right.
No, it was the same. But what I think is good about having them in it, not very much, goes back to the thing about Voss, where there's a video on YouTube that has his entire like every cutscene he's in Far Cry 3, and that video is 17 minutes long, and that game is what, 40 hours?
It's pretty long, yeah.
You play through all the, it's a long game, and the fact that he's in it that little, but his scenes are so memorable that it feels like he's in the entire game, which I think is really cool. And I was hoping it would be sort of a similar feel with this, but it kind of seems like they're just doing the Voss thing over and over. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't play 5, and I obviously haven't played 6, but 4, it was just like, hey, people really liked Voss and people really like this type of game, so let's make this type of game again, and let's just do the same villain. Do you feel that's the case, or do you think they vary them up enough?
Villains in 5 and 6 are vastly different than 3 and 4, in my opinion. Joseph Seed is a different brand of crazy, whereas Voss is that crazy but that kind of cool. Joseph Seed is a lot more like, you hate him, you want to hate him, and you want to kill him, and they just keep not letting you do it the entire time. I don't want to spoil that game, but it's 5 and 6 felt very different. I'm glad this one changed from 5, because 5 felt a little lifeless as far as your main character was concerned, because you go from the main character in 3 who you kind of actually cared about to in 5 it was like, make your own character, his name is the deputy, and you could customize him and stuff like that, but that was it. Like, he didn't have any voice lines, he felt lifeless. Everyone's like, oh, he's got to go do this, and he never talked. It felt weird.
John Deputy reporting for duty.
It felt a little lifeless, I'll admit. And this one feels a lot better, going back to that voice character you play as Danny Rojas, either a girl or a guy, depending on which passport you choose at the beginning. But you have the same name either way, and the voice acting makes it feel a lot more lively.
this did not feel like I'm sorry, that didn't seem like a good choice for Far Cry in general. Because like the
Yeah.
best part about that game, well, and I'm speaking 3 here because that's really the only one I've played through all the way, but 3 specifically, I really liked Jason Brody, and I liked that you were able to sort of find out more about him as the story went on. So like
Mhm.
rescuing your friends or whatever, you get a little bit more about him, and then by the end, you kind of have his whole backstory. I mean, there's still gaps here and there, maybe stuff I wish they had gone into more. Um, and killing off Voss halfway through that game was a mistake. Like in retrospect, like looking back, because the next villain, I don't even remember his name, but
It's
like
Hoyt, I
Hoyt.
think.
But see that I guess that proves my point. I don't even know what his name is because
Yeah,
he's so boring.
I just love like, and that's still one of my favorite stories, right? Like one of my favorite stories of the industry is that Michael Mando tried for Hoyt and he didn't get it, but his audition was so good they made a character for him, and people remember his character more than they remember the main villain. Like
Yeah.
it's such a cool thing, and uh, that's actually where this is where are you guys okay with a Far Cry 6 spoiler?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
good.
fine. Go for it. For anyone watching,
Yeah.
if you want to play the game, we're about to spoil it. But then we're gonna go into Metroid Dread, where we're also gonna spoil things. So yeah, go for it.
After the end of Far Cry 6, after the credits roll, you actually hear Michael Mando's voice. You hear him talking. It says like unnamed smuggler, but it's Michael Mando talking to one of the NPCs. And if you remember from Far Cry 3, when you killed Voss, you did it when you were under a lot of drugs. So it leaves open that he might actually still be alive.
Yeah, they do. They leave that intentionally vague.
Yeah, I remember you and I had talked about it way back in college, where we're like, he might still be alive, all that kind of stuff. And they seem to be hinting towards that. I'm not sure if that'll be a DLC or if that'll be if Voss is going to return to his role for Far Cry 7. But I thought that was really cool.
If Voss returns for Far Cry 7, I will buy Far Cry 7.
Right.
if that's what they're planning on doing, and they're gonna do another I guess whatever end, because there's 2 endings for Far Cry 3, whichever one they decide to make canon. If they continue with that story, I will absolutely buy Far Cry 7. And I think that God, that's such a good idea.
It's funny too because they really could go either way with it. Because in one ending, Jason makes it back to America, and the other ending, Jason gets killed. He
Yeah.
gets they like as he's like having sex with the boss's sister. She like stabs him in the chest or whatever.
That was my favorite ending, dude. Those titties, bro.
He says with the Samus, the Samus ooh.
Yeah, should we get into it? Should we talk about Metroid?
Yeah, I was like, all right, y'all heard me talk about my game. It's y'all's turn.
Which Metroid are we talking about? The one on Newgrounds?
Is there a Metroid on Newgrounds?
Dreadroid.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dreadroid, exactly. That's the one where it looks a lot like Seabass's picture right now.
Yeah.
It's Connor's face when it got announced. Actually, it's a screen cap.
Dude, I wish, like, because I had an idea that might be announced because there have been a bunch of rumors, and I really wish I had recorded myself like reacting to that. Go watch Arlo's video of his reaction, and that's my reaction.
Okay.
they're exactly the same. But yeah, so Dread is now officially out, 19 years in the making. For anyone who doesn't know, this game was announced back in 2005 for the DS, and Sakamoto actually talked about that in the Dread kind of gameplay video, but also sort of behind the scenes interview thing. And he was saying that at the time he was really excited about it, but the technology of the DS just wasn't there for what he wanted, for the type of content that was going to be in the game. And 19 years later, we have this. And as excited as I was for this game, I was also very worried because I played the 2D or Metroid 2 remake that Mercury Steam did, who were also going to be making Dread, and I didn't like it. I thought the gameplay was really chunky. I didn't like the controls at all. And I thought the parry system was really bad. Not that it was bad to have a parry system in the game, but their version of the parry system did not work in Metroid at all. Like the fast pace, you know, going from room to room, it broke up the gameplay constantly. And when I saw that Mercury Steam was making Dread, I was worried. I was like, all right, hopefully this is good. If it's not, you know, it is what it is. But
What's 19 more years?
was 19 more years before another, but thankfully that's not the case. I love this game. I think Dread is excellent, and I think all of you should go out and play it. And I really like, there's a couple bigger complaints I have and then a few small ones. Overall, I think it's great. Seabass, what were your thoughts on it?
Uh, thoughts? No thoughts. No, I'm just kidding. I liked it as well. I personally was the opposite for a while. I was like never gonna play a Metroid game, and then I recently have played Metroid, the two remakes, Samus Returns, and I actually like that game. And I didn't know who was developing fucking Dread at the time, but then I found out it was Mercury Steam, and I was excited because I was like, damn, those are my boys. Because they were in charge of the Castlevania remakes. And then at least for me, Mirror of Fate is like a really good, like tried and true, like rendition of Castlevania. And I would say I think that game came out after Samus Returns, and I can see why you hated Samus Returns, because to me it was like, this is just a clunky Castlevania. Because Castlevania is basically a carbon copy of Metroid, it just in a different setting. The way they like made the game, and then they have a parry mechanic in that, and everything was like smooth in that. It was a little clunky at times, but it was a lot smoother than Samus Returns. So they're just with their lineup. I knew this game was going to be good because they kept with their formula like throughout the years, and they were just improving it, and they're like refining it. I was like, dude, this shit's going to be good because it can only get better.
And that's such an interesting perspective to have, because I didn't have that sort of middle ground stepping stone thing. Like, I didn't know that they had then done a Castlevania game where they had improved on the mechanics. All I had was clunky Samus Returns, and then hoping that this was going to be good.
Yeah, which is interesting.
I hadn't seen the improvement. But yeah, I really, a lot of my fears were quelled almost immediately when I booted up the game. From a story perspective, I think this game is perfect. There's a few hiccups here and there, maybe things that I personally would have changed. But again, I know a lot of Metroid lore, so it's not really fair for me to like go in and be like, oh, this would have been cool here. But as far as a Metroid story goes, it was exactly as it should be, which was out of the way. It's when it's there, it's really good, but most of the time it gets out of the way for the gameplay. And I have to say, in this game, I don't think Samus has ever controlled better in a Metroid. And it's hard to go back to the other ones. And Seabass, I don't know if you have this problem, but going back to the other ones and not being able to use the slide mechanic.
Oh, I'm not going to play the other ones.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Samus can turn into a little morph ball and then like roll around and go through little crevices and things like that. And in this game, when you're running at one of those, instead of stopping and going into morph ball, you can press a button and slide underneath. And then if the corridor is too long, you auto turn into morph ball. And it changes, like, you don't think it would change that much, but it really does. Like, her mobility in this is absolutely insane.
Did they ever explain the physiology behind her doing that? Just as a person who's never played a Metroid, my only experience with Metroid is Smash Bros.
So the best I can think of, because they show this in Prime, which Sakamoto has said isn't canon, but that's neither here nor there. In Prime, when she gets Morph Ball, she sort of curls up and the suit forms around her. So the suit spins, but she is she's curled up, but she's sort of motionless inside of it.
Okay.
So that's kind of how, it's not her just like spinning around over and over again.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
She's just a contortionist then.
Yeah, pretty much. So it adapts to her body and she's able to do it. I can't really tell you. Really, they were just like, hey, we need a way to go fast in small corridors. let's have her turn into a ball. But as far as I can tell, that's kind of the way it's made up, because her armor is Chozo armor, so it just sort of forms around her. It's kind of biological in a sense. So it sort of gives her the powers from that. But yeah, the parry system that I mentioned is also back here, but it is so much better.
It's the best. It makes the game so easy too.
Yeah, it does. I still don't think a parry system should be in Metroid. And I know that's an unpopular opinion. I don't like parry systems in this type of game.
I would
But-
agree, actually, because just for the fact that it's very what's the word I'm looking for? You're using a gun, right? So it kind of takes away that urgency. Like when I first started the game, like I would like for the smaller enemies, I would stop, aim, shoot. But then I realized you could just fucking melee them and they'd just die. And then same thing with like the little like the meat pounders. I don't know what they're fucking called. Where the things that slam into the floor and make a shockwave.
Oh,
Once
the
I
little
realized you could
robots?
parry that, I was like,
Clonk.
oh, I don't even have to fuck with these guys. I can just parry them and insta kill them. Like it's so easy.
Yeah, it does. It changes the game a lot. But I will say, I don't think a parry system should be in here. But if there is going to be one in here, like this is it. This is a
Oh, yeah.
really, really good system to have in place.
It helps with like the fluidity. When like if you want to move fast, it really helps with the fluidity of the game.
Yeah, because before in Samus Returns, it felt like when you parried someone, you had to
Just
sit
stand
there for
still.
a second and wait,
Yeah.
and then you could shoot them and then move on. I'm like, holy shit, this is so slow. Like, this is not a good way to implement this at all. At first, I was disappointed they were making it, but now I just hope that Mercury's team like keeps improving and keeps putting out these games, because this is a huge step in the right direction. It's not perfect. I think Seabass, you and I were talking about some of the bosses being a little samey.
Oh my god, you have to fight like 6 cholos the whole time.
Yes, you do. No, it's a lot like the unique bosses that are there are really good.
Yeah.
You have a rematch with Kraid. You have that like underwater creature thing. You have what's basically the Parasite Queen, but like a new version of it. There's a lot of really good bosses in here, but the Chozos that you have to fight over and over, it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and it makes it worse that they're carbon copies. Like it was just like it's like, all right, so this is a cholo, and then you're like, all right, cool. You kill him, and you're like, all right, so he has a bunch of warriors after me. And I would have preferred it if they just made them an enemy in the game, like an addition to like the Emmy archetype, right? I feel like that would have been better. But instead, it's like, all right, here's a cholo. All right, cool. Here's another one, but it's blue. All right, cool. Here's another one, but there's 2 of them. And I'm like, okay, cool. Here's another one, but it has a shield. Like, just stop, man.
Yeah, I'm like, this is just getting a little lazy.
Yeah.
The Emmys were also interesting because I think when I first started playing, I really liked the idea of the Emmys.
Oh,
Because
by the 3rd Emmy, I was done with that bullshit, dude.
yeah, no, I agree. Because like
Yeah.
Emmys, when you start out, they're basically these robots that are patrolling the area, and they're only in a specific part of each map. But if you get caught by one, it's pretty much an insta kill. You can try and parry out of it, but the timing is really hard, and I never really quite got it.
Yeah, there's like 4 different there's 4 different animations depending on what side you get captured and what hand it has lifted up.
Yeah, so it's basically like in The Last of Us when you get bit by one of those clicker things and you just die. It's essentially what happens here. And for a little bit, it felt like, oh, this is really scary. This is really whatever. And then by Emmy, like you said, Seabass, like Emmy 3 or 4, you're like, okay, I'm done with this.
Like especially when you get further in the game and you get like fucking like Shine Spark and like the dash and shit, you're like, dude, I don't even have to fuck with you anymore. Like I'm out of here. Like just get away from me.
yeah,
It's just yeah.
no, it becomes an annoyance. And
It becomes a chore is what I would say. It becomes a chore because you can't just ignore it. You have to like it forces you to like, oh, you gotta take care of it. Like
it goes back to the thing we were talking about with Far Cry 3, where less is more. One of my the game Metroid Fusion that I have is the background here. The main antagonist is a version of Samus that's been corrupted. So basically, the beginning of the game is Parasite infects you. The X Parasite the Federation has to remove all these pieces of your suit, and you have to start from base one. That's how you lose all your powers. And then the pieces of her suit get shipped off to the Federation's HQ, where you eventually go because a power bomb exploded. And eventually in the game, you realize that the person you're fighting is you. It's the corrupted version of your suit parts that have formed another version of you. And it's fucking terrifying. And every time you see the SAX, which is what it's called in that game, it's only for a couple moments, but like you feel the tension, and it's almost like a horror movie. And I think the difference between that and the Emmys is that there's too much of the Emmys, and at a certain point they're just not scary. It's like, oh my god, another fucking Emmy room, and it gets kind of old. And I don't want to have that problem with like an overarching villain that's terrorizing you while you're very weak. I don't ever want to be annoyed by that.
Yeah. For sure.
But those complaints aside, there's a couple other ones I have. I'm writing a script right now for like a long video essay kind of thing that for anyone who's interested, maybe going up on this channel, maybe another channel. I haven't really decided yet, but that's in the works. So I'm going to go into a lot more detail there. But yeah, I think, is this worth the $60 price tag? Absolutely. I think you're going to have a great time.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think it's worth $60. I feel like that game is a solid $40, maybe $50.
So you guys finished it pretty quickly. I know you probably binged it, but like Connor, I think you sent your snapshot of you 100% it like 2 days later.
It's not the content that I would say is like the price point. I feel like it's just the graphics, and I think it, like, I don't want to say like the graphics have to be amazing, right? And maybe it is the content in the end. I think it is the content. It's just like that content feels like it felt like an indie game, And I pay $40 for that kind of content, or I would pay $20 for that kind of content. But since it's Samus or Metroid, I pay $40 because it's a good IP. Maybe if they added some like more modes or something, some more features, I would pay $60. But I don't know. I just don't feel like, I don't regret paying $60. Let's get that like out of the way. I just think that if I'm going to recommend this game, I think I'd like to recommend it at $40.
Yeah, I think that's a fair price point. I wouldn't hate this being cheaper either, because it is shorter than a lot of games out there, but it goes back to a it's a quantity over quality thing for me. And this game is so good overall that I don't mind if it's a little bit shorter. And for Metroidvania games, which this obviously is, I think having it be having it be overly long can be a detriment to something like this, because you don't want to be like, oh my god, I just want this to be done. Like, you want it to be sort of concise. And for a lot of people who are going to be playing this game, speedrunning is a big thing with Metroid. So people want to be able to sequence break and find items out of order and speed run as quickly as possible. So there's a lot of replayability when it comes to something like this.
Yeah, but it's just that, like I've shown you the video where I'm like, dude, this game, the graphics are a 1-to-1 Strider 2014 on the Xbox 360. Don't get me wrong, I love that game, dude. But Strider is basically the same formula, just like the same like formula as Dread, I would say, where it's like fast Metroidvania. Like, you want to do it as fast as possible, like, and that's where the replay value comes in for Strider. That game's $40. The Castlevania remakes, well, not the God of War style remakes, but like the tried and true Castlevania remake, Mirror of Fate, that was $40. Same gameplay, same people too. So I don't know. I think it's just that it's daddy Nintendo, they just need that money.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, I think I told you my theory about this game, but I genuinely think this game was supposed to be released with a 4K Switch. And now there's all these rumors.
I would agree.
Yeah. No, there's
if it released with a 4K Switch, then it'd be like, yeah, this is $60 because it's the headliner of the next gen like Switch series.
Yeah, no, and I guarantee you that was supposed to be the case because apparently, it's rumored now that Switch OLED was supposed to be the 4K Switch. It was going to have that DLSS chip, like the NVIDIA chip that upscales everything. But because everything is in such short supply right now because of COVID, they just couldn't make that. So they're like, all right, we're just going to do the OLED screen, $350 price tag. Will release 4K next year or the year after. But this game at certain points chugs. It is
Oh, dude,
really
it
testing.
chugs.
It's testing the Switch.
Those
to
load
its-
screens are fucking god awful long too.
They really are. And they're clunky as hell. Like some of the it'll like skip some of the animations when she's in the elevator or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, ooh man, this is this really needs to be running on a more powerful system. Which I guess we can talk about this briefly, but have you guys seen all the trouble, quote unquote trouble, that Kotaku got into because they were talking about how well this game runs on the Switch emulators?
No, that's super funny.
No.
I love that.
Yeah, so they were saying that I believe it's called Suzu is the Switch emulator for the PC, but people had already
Ripped it.
pirated the game and emulated it on their own software, and it runs way smoother than it does on a Switch. Especially, if you have a high-end PC, it's obviously going to run better.
Right.
But what people were mad at Kotaku about was like, please don't tell people this because we want people to buy the game so we can get more of them.
Right.
And B, they wrote the article advocating for piracy, which is a whole other conversation. But I just thought that was interesting. So I guess if it doesn't run well and you own a copy, you got to get a good PC.
Yeah.
It's a pirate's life for me.
Yeah. I think I would probably give this an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, but there are a few things keeping it back from being like a masterpiece.
I would give it I'd probably give it a 8, maybe 7.5. I think it's a largely untapped game too, which is what I like about it, where it's like there's just like you can really take this game apart mechanic wise and improve on the gameplay like yourself as a player. So that's what I like about games like this. Where it's
Yeah.
like you can just find shit and you're like, all right, like this is how you do it. Like that's what I loved about the old Castlevania games so much, where it's like they would add like one like new movement thing where it's like, oh, like you can dive kick now, and then somebody would be like, oh, if you dive kick and then angle your attack downwards, you can just fucking spam that shit and move like Sonic the Hedgehog, and then like it's like, and then we can use that to pass through a wall that gets us to the next area without having to do this, like all these sequence breaks. And it's like I think that's what's cool about the speedrunning community in these games, where it's like just finding that shit, like just the nuanced shit that they don't really intend.
And this game is meant to be sequence broken. I mean, like they designed it to be that way.
Yeah, because of the one of the that was cool too. One of the boss fights, I saw it on YouTube, where it's like if you sequence break before you get to Kraid, and you get the morph ball bomb, like it shows a cutscene where like a little cannonball, like cannon thing opens, and you go morph ball into it, and then you fire into his belly button, and you just fucking drop bombs into it, and it's like an insta kill.
Yeah, you can kill him way quicker if you get the bombs first because you like go inside of him and blow him up from the inside with morph ball. And that cutscene only happens if you sequence break. So clearly, like they want people to experiment. And this is, obviously I just 100% percented it, so I'm giving it a little bit of a break. But this is a game I'll be coming back to many, many times. And I think that's really the appeal of it. Kind of like Hades. I mean, in a way, it's you experiment, you try and get different abilities in different ways. In that case, it's more random. Here, it's kind of the set abilities, but you can get better times and you can do sequence breaks. So in that sense, it feels very similar. You could say it's repetitive or whatever, but it's all about trying to make the most of an experience. And I think this community, above any other, is really gonna make this game last as long as possible because we don't get them very often. But yeah, that's enough on that. Whenever that video comes out in 3 years or whatever, I'll talk more. But yeah, here let's let's talk about. Do you guys want to do the DC fandom?
I'm down. Well,
Okay.
do we have a time check?
I have no idea. I think we got a little time.
Sure.
I don't know. Whatever. We didn't do an episode last week, so we'll go over.
That's fair.
This will count as 2 episodes.
Daddy made you some content.
I'm gonna look up that article that I had. Joey, do you want to just kind of explain what DC fandom was to everybody?
Sure, yeah. So I think Seabass, I love it so much. You're ready to go. Where was your Voss or your Voss the fall cry?
I thought we were gonna start with Samus first because Connor had Metroid in his background.
It's beautiful.
Got that picture. All right. DC Fandom was something that they just started last year, but it was so well received that I think they're going to start making it an annual thing. And basically, it is a day where DC announces literally everything that they have coming to slate. Anything new pops up there, new trailers, new games, anything that is from a kids TV show, like Bat Car that got announced, which is like a Hot Wheels or Bat Wheels is what it's called, like a Hot Wheels thing that takes place in the Batman universe, to the new Batman trailer, which was the big reason to watch it. That was what they were really pushing, and everything in between.
Yeah,
It's,
so I actually have
E3 minus the Asians.
minus the what?
The Asians.
What do you mean?
There's not a single Asian other than that budget Flash in DC fan that whole event.
Oh yeah. Does Ezra Miller count?
I don't think so. I think he's like, nah, I don't, yeah, he wouldn't.
He doesn't count for anything. We're gonna get into that.
Oh.
I am. Well, let's start with Batman. I have the little list of everything that was announced. So that was the big one.
Which one?
I gotta be honest. I think the first trailer was much better than this one. I don't think it was a bad trailer. There's something about the feel of that first trailer. Like, it was really dark. I like the song choice mixed in with they have the Nirvana thing mixed in with the orchestral theme. And really, it's that one scene where Batman just beats the piss out of that guy with no music. That's what sold me on that movie. Like, it's like this young, like, doesn't really know what he's doing, kind of brutal Batman, and he just beats the shit out of that man all the way to the ground. And I was like, I'm here for this movie. And this new trailer just felt really like cut up and kind of more trailer housey, if that makes sense. Like, it didn't really give a feel for the movie like the last one did. But what did you guys think?
I think I would agree for the most part. I think the large part of the reason why the second trailer was so like cutty was you can tell that they really, really don't want to like spoil anything, or like they don't want to leave like enough clues where like I can just tell you the plot of the movie and where this is gonna go. They have been very insistent on that. Like, they want this to be like a thriller type of like Batman, like a mystery, like very noir Batman, like where it's just like rough and like, gritty, and it focuses on the detective aspect. So I feel like this trailer was like, hey, we got to put a trailer out. DC fandom's coming. We're doing DC fandom this year. We have to put another trailer out, and it can't be the same trailer. And they're like, okay, but we don't want to give anything away, but we have to give something to breadcrumb people into like staying interested. So I mean, that's what that trailer felt like. I mean, that last shot though was tight.
That was, yeah, where it's upside down.
Yeah, that shit was awesome.
Yeah, I'm with Seabass too. Like, there were a lot of cuts in it, but I'm kind of glad that they did it that way, because they were trying to show bits and pieces. I think they wanted to show a lot of what's going on in the movie. They wanted to have at least one shot of the Riddler. They wanted to have at least one shot of Gordon, one shot of Alfred, one shot of Catwoman, of Penguin. Like, they wanted to get at least a shot of everybody in there, probably to help with, like, they're probably going to do the like a the individual posters or something like that. They want to make sure you at least got to see them in some aspects. And I definitely agree. They probably didn't want to spoil too much. You're right. This is supposed to be a thriller. One of my particular favorite things that they did is kind of building off of that first trailer with what they start off with this one for, where they show the bat symbol, but they're using the old light bulb, so it's like sizzling on the rain coming down, which is a really cool shot. And they're talking about I don't want this just to be a signal to call me. I want it to be a signal to inspire fear. And seeing how he beats the bananas out of that guy in the first trailer, and then in this one, there's the particular shot of him slamming that guy and then like tasing him up against the wall.
Love that shot.
Other guys are kind of like everyone looks shocked in both scenes. You can just imagine the other henchmen are like, "Holy crap, I'm terrified!" And I think that they're really building on him actually being terrifying, which is what he's supposed to be doing. The whole reason he's Batman, the bats, is because he was afraid of bats. So he's trying to inspire the fear that he felt as a kid onto other people so that they'll stop doing crime. Christian Bale, the Batman style. But I think they're doing a really good job of making him brutal, which I'm super excited for.
I love that shot of him beating the shit out of that guy, and then Catwoman's like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, you see her like that's what he's supposed. It seems that's what they're going for, and I'm glad that they're doing that. You're right that it gives just enough of a hint to where everyone can start making their theories, but I think that Matt Reeves is creative enough to where he's gonna leave breadcrumbs that lead to the wrong end, so you'll still be surprised by the end of it. And I'd mentioned to Seabass that I think that they might be hinting towards a larger villain. And he asked me a pretty big question. And he said, if there isn't one, will you be disappointed? And I said, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of just this movie has a hard challenge ahead of itself, because I think the Riddler's really stupid. But that doesn't mean he can't be cool live action. A lot of times there are villains that I don't like, where the live action version has proved to me like, oh, this is a really good interpretation of that character. So I'm excited for them to prove me wrong, if that makes sense. Like I really want them to be like, hey, here's why Riddler is a cool villain. Like, because all I have in my head is like him saying dumb shit to you in the Arkham games, and then Jim Carrey with a bunch of question marks all over him. So like I want, if they're gonna do something grounded, I need them to take it seriously,
Yeah, they do. They're really building him to be a serial killer in this. I mean, there's the shot of him like it says serial killer live streaming at one point, like actually making him terrifying to where you're like, I have to solve this. And the way he's making you solve it is with riddles. He becomes a much more complex villain that way. You're right that typically he's a lot more goofy. I think I haven't watched all of Gotham yet, but I got to see a little bit of Riddler's character in Gotham, and that's probably the best live action Riddler until I hope this movie.
But you know who the best Riddler is?
Who?
Dave Franco, baby.
When was Dave Franco the Riddler?
Young Justice.
Oh,
Look it up.
Really? I don't know
Yeah,
who
that's
voiced
Dave
him. That's funny.
Franco. Yeah.
That's too
interesting. I
funny.
didn't know that. Yeah, I also want to clarify too. When I say cut up, I don't mean like, oh, they're only showing a little bit of a scene, which I'm also okay with. I don't want them to show too much.
No, you're talking about like the actual like
Just
where it's
that it
like it's
kept
showing
cutting.
one thing and it just cuts to the different thing.
Not even that. I mean, like they're showing an action sequence and they've cut it up when clearly it's a one take. So like that one part where he swoops down in the dark room and all the guys are shooting the guns at him, the scene is like chopped to bits, and it does the trailer thing where it goes dun 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 dun, and then it that's in every trailer. Look for it. But like it does that, and I'm like, this is so against what that first trailer was, which was just showing like this fucking mean dude, all this beaten down fucking like menace kicking the shit out of this guy in one take with no trailer music, no trailer sound effects. Like it just let the scene breathe for that little bit that they showed of it. And I'm like, this trailer kind of lost the spirit of that, I feel like, but I'm still excited.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they didn't show a trailer or anything like that. I know I'd be there,
Yeah, but now I'm done. Like if something else comes out, I'm not. It's the same thing Far From Home or No Way Home. Like if they do
Yeah,
another
I don't
trailer,
care about any more trailers. Yeah.
yeah, don't need to see it. You already sold the ticket, dude. You're good.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's talk about, let's see what else. So we got that trailer for Black Adam, like that short 30
Snippet.
second one.
Yeah.
Look pretty sweet.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like The Rock.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, this is like me nitpicking because I'm a weirdo. But dude, when he fucking picks him up, for some reason, when he did that pose, and it has a shot of him like picking him up and then like electrocuting him, I was so distracted by his pose because I was like, that's just a Rock pose. Like I thought I was like watching a wrestling match. Like I thought he was gonna fucking slam him down and like, you smell what the Rock is cooking. Like it was just like that that stance he took. It was like that's it. That's from his wrestling days. Like he just has that stance down packed.
I didn't even notice that. I'll have to look at that next time
Yeah, I need to
watch the
rewatch it
trailer.
then with that in mind
Yeah.
now. Now you've ruined that for me. Thanks. No.
Oh, sorry. No, but other than that, like it looks fucking cool.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be R. Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
it should
murders
be.
a guy in the trailer. That's the most brutal trailer murder I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah.
Especially for like a superhero / villain movie.
He's indifferent.
Shazam was kind of weird and fucked up too, though. Like for being a lighthearted movie, there's a moment where that like secretary lady fucking melts when she touches that door. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like there's weird kind of fucked up shit in that too. So I wasn't sure. But speaking of that, they showed not only Shazam 2, which is going to be called Fury of the Gods, but they also showed behind the scenes footage for Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. And these are two movies that I'm, they didn't actually have trailers. It's just, BTS stuff, but I'm very excited for both of these movies.
Y'all see that fucking shot of Amber Heard in there, even though she got fired?
Did she actually get fired?
Yeah, it's confirmed now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Who is it now? I'm sorry. What was that?
No, I just said it was confirmed.
Oh, I thought
I
you said
know.
you knew who the new actress was.
Yeah, I don't know who the new actress is. But
They just Photoshop Johnny Depp's face over.
yeah.
They should get Johnny Depp to play Amber Heard's character. But it's the same character.
It's still Mary. They just don't explain it.
They have him kissing Jason Momoa at the end.
They Don Cheadle Amber Heard.
Oh my god, that's such a good idea. That I feel like
that's what we're gonna do today.
That's something James Wan would do. Like he clearly understood how dumb Aquaman is, and he made that movie like so stupid in the the best way.
Right.
Like there's a that whole end battle is like just giant crabs fighting giant robot
that shit was so sick though. It was
I was like, they made it like kind of like a sick epic though. Like
yeah. I was like, I
the
thought I
movie
was
really
watching a
feels like an
kaiju
Odyssey
fight,
style
man.
epic.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like they have this grand scale, but they never are like, you should take this seriously.
Oh,
like
no, I agree.
it kind of feels like a live action Atlantis 2. And I know that sounds like a diss, but I mean that in a good way, like a globe trotting adventure kind of thing.
Right. And the Shazam is just completely lighthearted, and that movie's hilarious and it's really good.
Yeah, Shazam is one of my favorite superhero movies, I think, ever. Like it would be really up there. It to me, it's everything a superhero movie should be. It has like the Sam Raimi style of camp, but the jokes are also funny like they are in Sam Raimi movies. Like that's something that's been missing from superhero movies is people think that like characters stumbling over words or being kind of goofy is comedy, but jokes are comedy. Like you need jokes and you need good writing, and that's what Shazam has. It's it's genuinely hilarious.
Comedy is Brie Larson's haircut in Endgame.
Ooh, yeah, that was rough.
That's comedy.
It was pretty comedic.
Speaking of being awkward and not being able to be funny, let's talk about Flash.
Oh my god, can we just skip over the segment, dude?
What a transition!
I actually like the little teaser trailer. Like I'll say Ezra Miller introducing the trailer hurt me physically. I'm not sure I'm not sure if you were watching it. You popped off for a little while. Did you see the intro to the trailer?
Oh, I saw it. And you know
I
what? I'm gonna
wanted
do
to die. I was like, dude, can you just be a person?
you know what I'm gonna do right now? He is the most unlikable man I think I've ever seen. Right here in the middle of this, I'm gonna play the entire clip because I think people really need to see how unlikable, like what a piece of shit he is. So right here we go. Now you get to watch it.
Greetings, DC Fandome and Domers. Ezra Miller here, live from the set of The Flash. It looks like this. We're very excited to show you the movie, and we can't yet because we're still making it. We wanted to show you a teaser, but we can't because we don't have enough material to make a teaser yet. We can't make a trailer, but we do have this small sneak peek that my maestro Andy and I have put together that we really hope you'll enjoy. And I will see you in theaters later next year, or more importantly, you will see me.
And we're back.
Yeah.
I hope you were just as uncomfortable as we were.
Yeah, but I'll say after that unfortunate clip, the following clip was I actually really liked. I thought it was really cool seeing again, they don't have a whole lot of the movie filmed so far, but they seem to already have some of the Flash stuff. His suit looks awesome. There's the spot where you see multiple flashes, which I'm super excited to see how they introduce that. They one of them is wearing the Michael Keaton bat suit with the Flash logo painted over it, which I thought was a really cool detail. And they hint at both Michael Keaton and the Batmobile, which I'm also very excited for. Even though Michael Keaton is not my favorite Batman, he's a lot more of the old goofy style, whereas I like the more serious Batman. I'm still really excited to see him return and see how they incorporate that into the Flashpoint story.
I feel like any other actor I would be excited for this movie because everything you just said I agree with. I'm like, the suit looks cool. I like the idea, they're probably doing a reverse Flash thing because you see him at his mom's house. You see him go up to his mom at one point, probably an alternate timeline version. All good stuff. I hate Ezra Miller so much. And it's not just this, he's bad in everything I've seen him in. I mean, I don't know how he keeps getting work. And especially after all that shit with him beating up that person. I don't know if you ever saw that. He was
I heard about that.
He's like beating up a woman. There's a video of it. You can watch it. Like, he's not a good person.
Well, he's gay.
Huh?
Nothing.
Kevin Spacey.
You said Kevin Spacey?
Yeah, he said, but I'm gay. He was pulling like the Kevin Spacey excuse.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, you're touching kids. All right, sorry, I'm gay. It's like, that doesn't make it better.
That's not an excuse.
Yeah, I punched a woman. I'm gay. All right, you still punched a woman.
Don't punch a woman, my guy.
Yeah.
No, I don't get it. He was miscast from the start, and he's the one part of this universe that I really feel like he just hasn't been good in anything. Yeah, get rid of him.
I still love his suit too. Maybe it's just because they showed the CW Flash suit, which looks like a child's costume. And then they showed the Ezra Miller one, which looks like the next evolution of the Flash suit. Like, it looks so cool, and like I love it. And it's just so funny because then you saw Grant with his like it looks like he stole Wonder Woman's boots or whatever. Just looks awful. Although, to be fair, I'm also hoping Grant Gustin makes an appearance in this movie too. They could technically do that, and it'd be pretty fun.
In defense of Grant Gustin's suit, all right, that suit does look like it's meant for a child, but we have to look at Grant Gustin, right? I think what makes that suit look like a Halloween costume is just the way it fits on his head. And my man's he is loading a fucking Jimmy Neutron forehead. Like, that man is a cinder block up there. So it just makes the suit look elongated, and you're like, oh, it looks like a Halloween costume. So, I mean, they did the best they could with a head like that.
Clearly, this podcast is actually just a shit on all Flash actors. Never play the Flash, or Split Screen Media podcast will come at you.
No, I like Grant Gustin.
No, I think Grant Gustin does a great job. I also think it's a budget thing. I think the show has so few viewers now that when they try and make a new suit, it's going to look cheaper regardless. Also, they
Yeah.
have 30 Flashes on that show now, so they have to make costumes for everybody.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're all gonna look
The
bad.
Flash family.
The Kid Flash one, I think, is still my favorite.
Oh my
That
God,
one
I wanted to
looks
kill
so. Was it Kid Flash or was it
Impulse.
Impulse,
Impulse.
yeah. Oh my god.
The Kid Flash costume actually looks kind of dope.
Yeah.
Grant Gustin looked like he wanted to kill himself at that DC Fandom. He looks so miserable. And
Well, there's an interview with Stephen Amell. They're like, "Would you ever do Arrow?" And he's like, "They already asked me. I'm never fucking going back." I was like, "Oh."
he can say that he's done.
Yeah. Are you gonna show up in the Flash movie? Absolutely not.
Absolutely
Not a million years. Yeah, next thing. This is a show that I do want to watch. Just got to get HBO Max back again. Joey, I know you're excited about this. Doom Patrol, season 3.
There are literally dozens of us.
Mhm.
This is my Metroid where there's dozens of fans type thing. You know, I'm
Yeah.
the one person that's super excited for it. But please watch Doom Patrol. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you do because they read new shows even if no one watches it. See every CW show. See Titans. They don't care if people watch it. They're gonna keep making.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about Titans. Can we skip over that?
But Doom Patrol is actually really good. Please watch it.
Here's one. I don't know how you guys are gonna feel about this because I was initially like mildly interested, but after the trailer, I was. But Peacemaker, season 1 trailer, did not think it was good at all.
I'll probably watch it. It's not gonna be something I'm like looking forward to watch every week. Like I'm not gonna do it like that, but like once it's all out, I might watch it kind of thing if it's got good reviews.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it. I mean, I told myself I wasn't gonna watch it. I wasn't gonna watch it when they announced it. I was like, I'm not gonna watch that. Just John Cena for like 6 to 13 episodes. No, thank you.
I was excited for Eagly or whatever. The little eagle's name was just Eagly. That made me laugh. Of all the stuff, there's a lot of kind of dumber jokes in that. That one actually made me laugh for some reason because I just love the idea of this eagle walking around with the team.
Well,
And I like how James Gunn described it, where it's gonna be kind of like the Office style, like it's following around a group of people that are tasked with handling Peacemaker, and
That's the vibe I got from that trailer.
yeah. I was like, I mean, there's not too many superhero shows like that, so at least it's something new. And James Gunn did a fantastic job with Suicide Squad, so I'm gonna trust him in that aspect. But I'm with you. The trailer, I wasn't like, yeah, I got to go see that like I was with like Batman or something like that.
Yeah, I think what really bummed me out was that it looks like instead of it just being a Peacemaker show, it's like they're going to do a thing where they try and redeem him, because halfway through the trailer, it's like, you don't have to kill people all the time. And he's like, you're right. I don't have to kill people all the time. And I'm like, this is not the character that everyone signed up for. Like he's not going to be fun in large chunks. I promise you. His character is best when he's in like little bitty cut up sections in the movie, and then he has that great turn at the end where, because he's so steadfast in his ways, he becomes the villain of the movie. I promise you that's not going to be fun in TV form.
I'll be honest, I don't think he's going to be redeemed. I think that the trailer is setting him up to be redeemed so that they can say absolutely not, screw that. That's the James Gunn style of the subverting expectations. I think that the trailer was to make you think that it's going to be a redemption story, but he's not a redeemable character. That's my initial thoughts for it. We'll see in like 3 months if I'm right. Isn't it? It comes out really soon.
Yeah. Are you going to be disappointed if that is the case, where they like have a whole redemption arc for this man?
A little bit, yeah. Honestly, that's one where, because you're right. Like he was meant to be steadfast and kind of a irredeemable asshole. He's not like, he's one of those guys, like one of those like really good villains where they're a villain for in their head they're right, which always makes the best villains. And I don't see that changing because a couple of secret agents say, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. I don't see it changing.
Yeah. And and like you said, he wasn't really the villain. I mean, like his whole thing was, I can't let this information get out because it would cause chaos to America. Like it would destroy their reputation, and I have to protect the citizens. So in his mind, like you said, he's right.
Yeah.
And
like the best villains are the heroes of their story, except for see like Boss and Joker, where they're so villainous that they don't need to have a reason to do it. There's like there's the two best villains are the ones that are villains for villain's sake, like that, or they're villains for not thinking they're villains.
yeah, don't try and make people in that other camp sympathetic, I think, because that won't work.
Yeah,
Like if the Joker was sympathetic, that would be a dumb story.
right.
Which is kind of why I hate his origin. Never mind. We're not going to get into all that. Killing Joke was really bad. The movie version. Ooh,
The movie
man.
version was terrible. Yeah, the comic is amazing, but
Yeah, that movie was straight ass. We saw that in theaters. That was a fucking mistake.
yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's see.
Fandom. Your body
going
got
through the
cut
rest
off by
of
your
this.
background, so now you're just a floating head. I love it.
Oh, that's
there it
great.
is.
Yeah, the only other thing on here that looks, it says the Flash got his new boots for season 8. I'm like,
The season's got to be garbage when you're talking about boots, right?
Finally, new boots.
No, no mention of villain, no mention of anything else except for Flash got his new boots. I'm like, why are we like Barbie?
when they said season 8's gonna come with a bang, I was like, season 8?
Yeah. And then they said shoes. That was the bang.
Oof, I
Was
really
the bang Grant Gustin blowing his brains out because he's still stuck on this contract? Like,
dude, it looked like it. Oh my god. Every time
Iris
he's
at
on
least was having fun with the news flashes. I thought it was at least clever. It was kind of like, but it was clever to have her be the reporter and doing the news flash, and she's also in the flash. Like, it was one of
And
those
she
things
does
that's
the
like,
news.
yeah.
does she have powers now too? Is that a
I stopped on season 2, I think.
yeah? I watched the one with the thinker, and oh, that was bad. I can't imagine it's like gotten better from there, Yeah, the only other thing I think is worth talking about is a sequel to the Batman animated series, which is going to be a little bit more mature and not have to follow the constraints of, I guess, Cartoon Network. Is that where?
I think so. It's been a
Yes.
while.
We'll say Cartoon Network. So yeah, Cartoon Network. You had a lot, because it was a children's cartoon show. They weren't, or network. They weren't allowed to do certain things, but this is like
Except
a
for
spiritual
sexualize almost everything.
Cartoon Network does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Remember Totally Spies?
Oh, buddy. Do I remember Totally Spies? Come on.
I'm half expecting him to switch his picture over to a Totally Spy. Like, he was ready for that,
I could see the future.
Toonami was just over sexualization. That's all that was. Every single show.
It was true.
As far as the new Batman animated series, I think it's gonna be really cool. Bruce Timm's coming back, and he's the one who made the original, and he seemed really excited for it. And I feel like when a creator is excited for something, that it's going to be some pretty good content. I'll be honest, I didn't actually watch all of the animated series. It's something I've always wanted to go back and go through, but I just haven't done it yet. But now that they're making this new version that's a bit more for adults, I think I'll probably just wait and watch that instead. Because I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I also haven't seen all of the animated series, but I did watch a lot of it when I was younger, and I really enjoyed it. It was like that, and then the old Justice League I watched a shit ton of. So that's kind of my jam. So I'll be excited to see this. And then the last thing this wasn't even on the list because I know no one cares about this but me, and they already confirmed it last year, but they are doing a Static Shock movie. Michael B. Jordan is producing, and they haven't announced a cast or anything, but oh my god, I can't wait.
Michael B. Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
He's the director. He's not playing Static Shock.
I know. Dude, that's awesome. I like me some Michael B. Jordan, dude.
I was like, damn, he should play Static Shock, but he's a little too old now, I think.
Yeah, he I don't think he'd be able to pull it. I mean, he could pull it off, but I mean, like, I don't think he's a good fit for it.
Yeah, no, they need someone a little like kind of younger and scrappier looking. Not as jacked, not as like fucking Michael B. Jordan is like an Adonis. So
Yeah.
they need someone like a little bit less jacked to play
Yeah.
Static Shock.
For sure. No, but I'll be super excited for that. I love Static Shock as a kid, and I'll be really excited to see live action of that. Finally, it feels like, because I feel like that's been needed for a while.
Did you watch the cartoon?
Yeah,
How have we never talked about this?
I'd like to go back and watch it again as an adult, but I used to love watching it as a kid. I can't say I've watched through the entire series before because I didn't really have cable as a kid. I had to go over to my grandma's. Hashtag being poor.
I didn't have
What are you talking
cable
about?
either.
It was on Channel 4 every Saturday, and it was free.
Yeah, they did do it was the reruns though, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't catch it weekly, but I remember because I also didn't have cable, and I'd watch it. It would like that the WB or whatever would always be on every Saturday, and it was like on like on the 6 channels that we had.
I feel like I'd wake up too late for it or something like that, because I feel like I would turn it on, I would just miss it or see the end of it or something like that.
Maybe. I mean, for me, it was like I remember watching Mega Man on Sundays. I was like, damn, this shit's tight.
Oh yeah, that's right. They I remember because I didn't have cable either. I used to go home to my buddy Glenn's house after school in, I don't know, second grade, first grade, whatever it was, maybe third. But he had cable, and so we went there, and it was like WB4 Kids or something, which was
Yeah.
the greatest programming of all time. So we would watch Static Shock, and then we would watch Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yeah, and then after that it would be Sonic,
Yeah, it would be
Sonic
Man,
X. Oh,
that programming. Holy shit, it was the best. But yeah, I can't wait for a Static Shock movie. It's not going to do well, and that makes me sad. But,
I don't know. I think I could see it doing pretty well.
you think so?
I think at least. Because I feel like even if people don't know the character, I think it'll maybe be a lot like Black Panther was. It'll be hopefully another generational style movie, where if people don't know the character, they'll start liking the character because of who he is.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And a lot of the character of Static Shock is about sort of that, like the Black experience, I guess, if you want to say. So
Yeah.
I could definitely see them, going into that more if they did a live action movie.
I'm curious if because they didn't announce this until Black Panther came out. So I wonder if Warner Brothers was kind of waiting to see how Black Panther did before they did their own thing. Like, can I do this? I don't know, maybe that's just me being like an awful person because that's what I expect of humanity. But I'm curious if that was the reason why we don't have one already.
I could definitely see that, like a studio going, hey, if this bombs and we can't greenlight it, but then Black Panther made $1 billion trillion, so they were like, all right, send it on through.
Yeah. We can also talk about two, besides that, the last two things probably on Fandom we can talk about before recommendations in the wrap up, are the two games, the Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
What did you guys think of those two trailers?
I don't have much thought, to be honest. I am not really excited for Arkham or Gotham Knights. I think I'll probably maybe play it. I don't know yet, but I'm not too like edge of my seat. Like, oh, I can't wait till that comes out. Suicide Squad, I'm interested in seeing how it develops. We still haven't gotten any gameplay. It's all been like story trailers or like concept trailers. So I'm interested in seeing more of Suicide Squad. Gotham Knights, not so much.
I mirror Seabass exactly. Yeah. It was kind of shitty, I think, that for at least for Suicide Squad that they didn't show any gameplay last year. Like at least Gotham Knights did, but then this year they also don't show any gameplay. I was like, gotta give me something, man. I'm really trying to be like invested in this game. Like I want to like it because I Rocksteady makes good stuff, but you gotta give me something.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm still pretty excited for Gotham Knights. I'm excited for, I think, mainly the story of that. I think following Batman dying and seeing how the rest of the Bat family reacts, and then taking on the Court of Owls. Court of Owls is one of the best like Batman villains. I know it's like an organization, but I really enjoy it. So but typically it's Batman doing that. So I'm curious to see how they handle that with the Robin family. Um, but I'm definitely less excited for that than I am Suicide Squad. And I'm with you. Like I'm hoping in one of these game shows or something like that, they start to show some actual gameplay of it. This will be was it want to be like Rocksteady's like first multiplayer because they've they did the Batman games, but all those are completely single. So I'm curious to see how they handle that.
We don't know if it's multiplayer yet. They haven't confirmed or denied that. That's the thing. Like I was hoping to learn that here, like, oh hey, look, and now you can join your friend as King Shark, but it's just more story trailer. And I'm like,
I thought that they confirmed that both were kind of that like almost like Borderlands style, but I don't know for sure.
They haven't said anything about Suicide Squad, but I want to make an unfortunate prediction that I think is going to be right. Gotham Knights is going to be the Marvel's Avengers of the DC universe.
That will be very unfortunate if so.
Yeah, I think I told Joey something like about that along the same lines. I said it's probably gonna have one of the worst launches ever. I thought it just looks like it's gonna be a buggy nightmare for some reason. Like I don't know, I just got that feeling when I watched the gameplay for it.
Yeah, it looked almost identical to that. It was like the team up mechanic. It's waves of boring enemies, and there's going to be raids. It's going to be a pay to win thing. There's going to be a live service element with like a battle pass or whatever. Like I almost guarantee you they're going to make the same mistake.
Who's making Gotham Knights? Do you know the studio?
I don't.
I think it's the same people that made Origins.
Oh yeah, maybe. Here, let me look it up real quick. Because that will make a big difference as to what type of game it actually ends up being.
It says Warner Brother Games Montreal.
That's the people that made Origins.
Yeah.
Let me
So
look up Suicide Squad.
I don't want it to be a bad game. I know the trends of video games now, and you can see the red flags from the trailers and the gameplay. You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, in their defense, like Origins was a good game, but it was because they're basically ripping off the formula. And I mean, like, they did a great job with the story and shit. But like this, I don't think this is in a fluid multiplayer experience is not something I think they're capable of pulling off.
Yeah. And for that one, it was a more direct ripoff because it was, a prequel.
Yeah, we already have the formula, we have the base, we just do that. But this is like trying to like take it to the next level, which I don't think they have it in them to. I don't think they have that like ingenuity,
Yeah, and I would argue that Arkham Asylum is one of the most influential modern games ever. I mean, everyone stole one of three things. It was
that
either
formula.
It was either the combat system, it was the atmosphere, or it was the stealth, like the stealth sections. Almost every game that has come out since then has stolen one of those three things, like how they did it. Rightfully so, I think, because they kind of perfected a lot of stuff. Spider-Man PS4 is the perfect example of that. It's like, hey, we're gonna drag that over here, and we're gonna put Spider-Man.
Like, all right, and copy and paste. Yep. Erase the Xbox logo.
Done.
It's like with the Flash trailer where they had the Batman logo spray painted with the Flash, except this time it was spray painted with the spider. You're done.
Yep, that's all you had to do. Yeah, so I guess we can wrap it up here. Do you want to do a really quick recommendations and then head out?
Sounds good to me. Seabass, you want to start?
Why do I have to start?
I can start if you want to think of something while I talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one too, so I can go. We can do Seabass last then.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna. I mentioned him earlier, but and I keep sending it in the group chat just because I love him so much. But Zanny, his videos are hilarious, and I stand by that. He is the best thumbnails on YouTube, and they are a big inspiration for me when I'm trying to like come up with stuff for this podcast. So I really recommend his channel a lot. Like gameplay videos and all that, super funny.
Fair enough. I was gonna say I recently purchased a game called Pathfinder Kingmaker. I've been playing a game, Divinity Original Sin and Original Sin 2, and Seabass and I played through the second one together and finished, and I've been looking for that RPG shaped hole to be filled in my heart. And I've been looking through a lot of different reviews of a lot of different games, and I came across that, and it was on sale for $8, and I was like, I'll give it a shot for $8. And this game is, if you like D&D, you'll like this game. It's very complex. I highly recommend doing some research into like class builds and stuff like that before jumping straight into it. That's what I had to do because a lot of it's a little over my head, even as someone who understands D&D. But once you get past that, it is the most D&D feeling game I've ever played. From the like talking and stuff like that, where it does skill checks every time you make an attack roll. It actually does a die roll, and you can see what you rolled and how it influenced the outcomes of what happened during like quick events. They actually have like an interactive storybook kind of pop up, so it describes what's going on here, and you decide what to do in response. And depending on your skills, you can do different things or try different things, see if they pass and fail. And even moving around on the map, you pop up as a little like one of the little like figurines that you play with in D&D, like the hand painted figures to move around the map. And I'm not that far into it. I've only been playing it since probably 2 days ago, but I've had a ton of fun with it, and would recommend it to anybody who likes RPGs and D&D.
Nice. All right, Seabass.
All right. I'm probably gonna get fucking flamed for this,
Ready, got my torch.
I'm ready. Yeah.
but all right. So growing up, I gotta give you the whole spiel to defend my case first.
All right.
Growing up, my Game Boy Advance, there's only one game I used to play all the time, like the only like one game series that I play all the time, and it started with a game called Mega Man Zero, baby. Mega Man Zero was tight. It was just edgy, cool, awesome side scroller, blah blah blah. Then they came out with Battle Network, and I played the shit out of those. I played every single one without fail, even the shitty ones that came out on DS, just because it had Battle Network in it, or not Battle Network, but it was because it was a spiritual successor. It was supposed to bring it into a new generation, even though it was garbage. And I still bought all three of them. Look at me now, clown. But I picked up this game on Switch because I was just like, I like to like go through the indie games on Switch because Switch gets a lot of like gives a lot of indie game support, like especially like a lot of the ones where I'd be like came out for Steam, and I'm like, oh, I really want to play that, but I don't want to like buy it and then find out my laptop can't handle it, or like it can't play it the way I want to play it. So Switch has been doing really good adding indie games to their repertoire, and I stumbled across this game called One Step from Eating, which is, I would describe it as, it's a roguelike at heart, but it feels like when I started playing the game, like I saw gameplay for it and I was like, all right, it looks kind of cool. But when you play it, you're like, it felt like a spiritual successor to the Battle Network series. Like if they were like, this is what the next generation of Battle Network looks like, I'd be all in, like take my fucking money. Like $60, no problem. Just like Connor for Metroid Dread. $60, no problem. Even though this is a $20 game. But it's like, so I know you're familiar with Battle Network. What's your face? Connor. So basically, like I'll explain it real quick. Connor, whatever. All right. Conrad. It's basically like, it's like dude, it's kind of actually hard to explain when you think about it. Think about it as like a deck building game. So you have like all these like, so One Step from Eating is like a deck builder at heart, and it's a roguelike. And it takes from Hades, where it's like you pick, and instead of your weapon, you pick your character. And your character at a base has a a play style. Like either it uses like a giant gun, you have like this chick with a giant shield that focuses on counters. Like you have a dude that fucking has a rocket launcher and is specialized in explosives. And then like you have a healer, you have a spellcaster. And as you go through your runs, you pick up different power-ups, and then you have to like craft a build from what you get after each battle. So like I play with like the chick with the shield a lot, and like the best build for me is that like she's like really powerful where she can counter stuff that you usually have to like dodge, and you can like put poison on. So I make a poison build out of it, and it's like you just grab these cards and like it goes through like how Battle Network is, where it's like you go through a phase and then you have a gauge that fills up, and then you press the triggers and then it'll pop up a little menu, and then you have like a bunch of like randomized cards in your deck that you pick from, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna do these two in a combination, and then I'm gonna throw away the rest and then reshuffle. It's also kind of like how Chain of Memories, is that what was that when they introduced the
It
cards?
sounds a lot like Chain of Memories.
Yeah, that's the card one.
Yeah. So it's like how they like cycle through it is like how Chain of Memories does it, but like the battlefield is like Mega Man, where you have to like you have like 9 panels on your side and you have 9 panels on the enemy side, and you have to like maneuver around that way. It's really hard to explain without showing like some gameplay of it, but like I've been really enjoying the game just because it adds that roguelike element where it's like I have all these characters to choose from, and I can go through my runs with different builds, and it really like etches that like replayability that we're seeing from all these roguelikes coming out. So
one more time, what's it called?
One Step from Eden.
One Step from Eden. Okay.
Have the
It's
devs
like a $20 game.
Have the
It's probably
devs
like
talked
$5 on
about it?
Steam.
Like, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying it's probably like $5 on Steam.
That definitely sounds worth it, because I would love to. But have the devs come out like in any interviews and been like, hey, this is kind of inspired from Mega Man Battle Network? Like, have they said anything about that, or were you just like, oh wow, this is like the mechanics are very similar to that game?
No, yeah, I said it was very similar. And I read some reviews too, and a lot of the reviews were saying like this is like the Mega Man they wanted from next gen, shit like that. It's like this is just the Battle Network's like spiritual successor.
There was a time I remember I would just like buy whatever game I could for the Game Boy Advance, because that was like the only thing I played. Like I stopped playing consoles. I stopped, like, it was just like that was my system. So I was like, I want to play as much as I can on here. And I ran through all the ones that everybody plays, like the Pokemons and the Marios or whatever. So I started buying like shit I didn't know what it was, and that was how I got Battle Network. And that game fucking slaps. It's so good.
Wait, which one did you play?
I played the first one.
The first one? Yeah.
Well, but then because I loved it so much, I went all the way up to 3, I believe.
3, I think 3 was the best one in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's like they definitely like learned as they went. And then like I would say 4 was cool, but oh god, dude. Some aspects, it's just a giant tournament arc, and I kind of hated that part about it. 5 is probably the best out of the last 3, then 6 is all right.
It was also like a mobile version of Custom Robo, which is a game that no one played and will never get a sequel, but I hold very near and dear to my heart. That should have been my recommendation. Fucking please play custom, like fucking emulate it. I don't care how you get it, just play Custom Robo. It's so good.
That was funny. Real quick before we say our goodbyes, I looked up the game on Steam really quickly, and the absolute top review. So first of all, it has overwhelmingly positive reviews for this One Step from Eden, and the top thing says Slay the Spire meets Mega Man Battle Network.
There you go. I forgot about Play the Spire. That's actually a perfect way to describe it.
Never heard of that. But it must be pretty good if it's if they're putting it with Mega Man Battle Network to make one awesome game. I'm definitely gonna check that out, Seabass.
Do it. It's fucking fun. I don't know how much it is on Steam. How much is it on Steam, Joey?
$20. So throw it on the wish list. Wait to get that
Yep.
email about the discount. And
Yeah, wait until
buy button.
Steam does that fucking sale they always do.
Yeah, they do the holiday sale like around Christmas. I'm sure it'll be like $3.
Yeah.
Nathan's coming for that wallet.
He really is every year, just like Santa, except he steals stuff
But
from
like I
you.
said, this is a phenomenal game and it's only $20. What's Metroid? How much does Metroid cost?
God damn it. These memes make me so angry because it's like I think it's part of I know I'm gonna sound like the oldest person ever, but it's part of it's the Fortnite generation. It's the hey, a game is free and I can dunk hundreds of hours into it. And so the fact that this game costs money now and it's shorter is frustrating, but they serve different purposes. And the same people who are like, oh, that's a lot of money buy the and I'm not meaning to shit on anybody, but like the same shit that Ubisoft puts out every year, which is just a reskin version of the game from last year, or like a Madden game that's $60. Are you gonna tell me that's
Yeah.
worth $60? Like,
Oh, it's definitely not, dude.
I hate these comparisons to that because it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, if you want a game, you should buy it. Like and it's worth it. Maybe not as much to you if you don't have that much investment, but as a game itself, I think objectively it's super fun and it has a lot of replayability.
That's fair.
That is fair.
That was my rant for the day.
I just wanted to get that out of you. I knew you were holding it back the whole time.
he was trying to get a rise out of me and he nailed it.
Yeah.
He knew exactly which buttons to hit. Oh my god. All right. Well, on that note, thank you very much for watching our I was gonna say slightly longer, but I think it's a lot longer episode.
Yeah, our double episode.
Yeah, it's our double episode. We're making up for last week. Seabass, thank you again for being on, man. We really appreciate your time. Always appreciate your points of view on things. So thank you.
Anytime, man.
If you guys like this, like and subscribe if you want to see more. I'll probably post on Facebook, maybe on the Split Screen Media page.
I'll see you next week.
yeah, I'll see you next week. That's probably true, actually. But yeah, I'll post when that Metroid video is getting close to being done or there's some updates. It's gonna take a while because I have a lot of things to say on it. And I'm not very good at editing, believe it or not. But yeah, thanks again, Joey. Thank you for co-hosting. I appreciate it.
Thank you for co-hosting and regular hosting and everything in between.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing all the work. Well, I just have to talk and look pretty.
You do both of those things beautifully. All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.